stood in the center of the Grand Assembly Hall and looked at the faces staring back at him. Well, not all of them were faces. Some were crystalline structures that glowed with light. Others were clouds of gas contained in special suits. A few were simply floating spheres that pulsed with different colors. 47 different species filled the massive chamber, and every single one of them was watching him. The hall itself was beautiful in a strange way. It floated in space above a planet called Centrum Prime. Through the transparent dome above, could see stars that humans had never visited. The walls hummed with translation technology that turned every word into something each species could understand. This was the heart of galactic civilization, and was about to disappoint everyone in it. Ambassador of Earth, Chancellor's voice echoed through the chamber. The Chancellor was a being made entirely of crystal, standing 3 meters tall, and speaking through vibrations that the translation system converted to sound. Your species has reviewed the standard integration protocols for 3 standard weeks. The Council awaits your response. Glanced at Doctor, who stood beside him. She was Earth's best scientist, the one who had spent countless hours studying the document they had been given. She gave him a small nod. They had discussed this decision 1,000 times. They both knew what it meant. Chancellor, honored members of the Galactic Council, began, his voice steady and calm. Humanity thanks you for this opportunity. We have reviewed your protocols carefully. We understand that every species in this chamber has signed this document. We understand that it has maintained peace for 12,000 years. A murmur of approval rippled through the assembly. They thought they knew what was coming next. However, continued, humanity must respectfully decline. The murmur stopped. Silence filled the hall like a physical thing, could feel the weight of it pressing down on him. Somewhere in the back, a delegate made a sound like grinding metal. Another species translator produced a series of confused whistles. Chancellor's crystalline form flickered with light. Decline. Ambassador, perhaps you do not understand. The protocols are not optional. They are the foundation of galactic society. We understand perfectly, Doctor spoke up. She pulled up a holographic display that showed the key points of the protocols. You require us to surrender 40% of all our resources to Council redistribution. You want us to limit our military to almost nothing. You demand that we share all our technology immediately. You ask us to give up our right to make our own decisions in space disputes. And you require us to stop all research into artificial intelligence. These measures ensure peace, said Enforcer Prime Calzus, the military commander of the Council. He was a massive creature covered in scales with 4 arms and a tail that could crush steel. They prevent war. They create equality among all species. They also create stagnation, said quietly. We reviewed your technological progress over the past 1,000 years. You have advanced very little. Your medicine is the same. Your ships are the same. Your weapons are the same. You have peace, yes, but at the cost of growth. The chamber erupted in angry sounds. Delegates shouted, whistled, and vibrated in protest. Chancellor raised one crystalline arm and the noise died down. You are young, the Chancellor said, and there was something like pity in his vibrating voice. You do not understand the dangers of unchecked progress. We have seen species destroy themselves with technology they could not control. We have watched wars consume entire sectors because of military competition. The protocols exist to protect everyone, including you. We appreciate your concern, replied. But humanity will chart its own course. We will defend ourselves. We will trade with whoever wishes to trade with us. We will develop our technology as we see fit. And we will do all of this while respecting the sovereignty of other species. You cannot, said a delegate from the back. This one looked like a floating jellyfish made of light. The protocols protect integrated species. If you are not integrated, you are not protected by Council law. Any member species can take your resources, your worlds, your people. It is called competitive acquisition, and it is perfectly legal. Smiled, but it was not a happy smile. Thank you for the warning. We will keep that in mind. Doctor stepped forward. We want to be clear. We are not hostile to the Council. We are happy to establish trade agreements, cultural exchanges, and diplomatic relations. We simply will not sign away our freedom to make our own choices. Chancellor's glow dimmed slightly. You are making a mistake. A species alone in the galaxy is vulnerable. You have no allies, no protection, no support. When the first species comes to take what you have, you will regret this decision. Perhaps, said, but it will be our decision to regret, not yours. He bowed slightly, a human gesture of respect. Doctor did the same. Then they turned and walked toward the exit. Their footsteps echoed in the silent chamber. No one tried to stop them. No one said goodbye. As they reached the door, heard whispers starting behind them. The delegates were already talking among themselves. He did not need a translator to understand what they were saying. They were calculating, planning, deciding which species would be the first to test these stubborn humans. On the ship back to Earth, Doctor pulled up a star map. How long do you think we have? Before someone attacks, looked at the map at the small blue dot that represented Earth. 3 months, maybe 4, that will probably move first. They are merchants and they see an opportunity. Are we ready? Thought about the ships waiting in Earth's orbit. He thought about the technology they had developed in secret, the things the Council would call forbidden. He thought about the billions of humans who had voted to take this risk, to choose freedom over safety. We are ready, he said. Let them come. Doctor nodded. She looked out at the stars passing by the window. They think we are weak because we are new. They think we will be easy to conquer. Good, said. Let them think that. Let them learn the truth the hard way. Back in the Grand Assembly Hall, Chancellor addressed the remaining delegates. The humans have made their choice. It is regrettable, but the law is clear. They are not under Council protection. In the back of the chamber, Merchant Lord of the Trading Collective was already sending messages to his fleet. He smiled with his many teeth. Humans were about to learn a very expensive lesson about galactic reality. Neither he nor the Council knew that humanity had been preparing for this exact scenario since the day they first detected alien signals. Neither knew that humans had spent decades building weapons the Council had banned. Neither knew that Earth scientists had refused to accept the limits the Council considered wise. The galaxy was about to discover what made humans different. They were about to learn that some species do not accept chains, even when those chains are called peace. The galaxy was about to meet humanity, and nothing would ever be the same. 3 months passed after humanity refused the Council's protocols. 3 months of watching and waiting. 3 months of Earth's colonies on the outer edges of human space looking nervously at their sensors. Everyone knew someone would come. The question was who and when. Admiral stood on the bridge of his flagship, the EDS Indomitable, and watched the sensor readings with calm eyes. He was a man who had spent 30 years preparing for war, hoping it would never come but ready when it did. Today it came. Admiral, we have contacts, said the sensor officer. 200 ships entering the outer colony system. Configuration matches trading collective vessels. 200, said quietly. They sent an entire subjugation fleet. Captain, who commanded the Indomitable, stepped up beside him. She was younger than the Admiral, but she had proven herself in countless simulations. They think we are primitives. 200 ships is what they use to conquer pre-space civilizations. Let them think that a while longer, said. He opened a channel to the rest of Earth's first contact fleet. 20 ships hidden among the asteroids of the outer system. 20 ships against 200. The Council would call it suicide. All ships begin activation sequence. Wake up the AI. Across the fleet, humanity's greatest secret came online. Artificial intelligence, banned by Council protocols for being too dangerous. Each ship had an AI core that could think faster than any organic mind, process battle data in microseconds, and coordinate with other AIs instantly. The Council feared this technology. They called it a threat to organic life. Humans called it an advantage. Fleet is broadcasting, the communications officer reported. They demand immediate surrender of all human colonies. They claim right of competitive acquisition under Council law. Send them our response, said, pressed a button, and a simple message transmitted across space. It was one word, no. The fleet commander, whose name was too complicated for human mouths to pronounce, received the message on his flagship. He laughed, a sound like rattling chains. Humans were even more stupid than he thought. All ships, battle formation. Destroy their defenses and prepare boarding parties. We will take their resources and sell their people as labor. This will be profitable. His fleet moved forward, weapons charging. They used plasma cannons, the standard weapon of Council species. Effective, reliable, and approved by Council safety regulations. The humans used something different. Fire, Admiral said calmly. The human ships emerged from the asteroid field and their weapons spoke. But these were not plasma cannons. These were mass drivers, kinetic weapons that accelerated chunks of metal to a significant fraction of light speed. The Council had banned them centuries ago, calling them too dangerous, too unpredictable. That was exactly why humans used them. The projectiles crossed the distance in seconds. The shields, designed to stop plasma, did nothing against solid metal moving at relativistic speeds. The first 30 ships simply disintegrated. They did not explode. They did not burn. They were there one moment and gone the next, turned into clouds of debris. What? The commander stared at his screens in shock. What was that? His sensor officer was frantically trying to understand. They used kinetic weapons, solid projectiles. Nothing should move that fast. Return fire, all ships. The fleet fired back, thousands of plasma bolts lighting up space. But the human ships were no longer where the sensors showed them. The AI cores predicted the incoming fire and moved the ships in patterns that seemed impossible. The few shots that did hit struck shields that were far more powerful than they should be. How? The commander whispered. On the Indomitable, Captain watched the battle display with satisfaction. Their reactors are limited to Council-approved power levels. Ours are not. Their computers need seconds to calculate firing solutions. Ours need microseconds. Their tactics are programmed. Ours adapt in real time. Second wave, Admiral ordered. Show them what else we have. Another 20 human ships. The Council said true cloaking technology was impossible. Human scientists had decided that impossible just meant really difficult and had solved it anyway. The new ships opened fire with different weapons. These were electromagnetic pulse weapons, another banned technology. They did not destroy ships. They simply turned off all the electronics. 40 more ships went dark, drifting in space, their crews trapped inside dead vessels. The commander finally understood. They were not fighting primitives. They were fighting something terrifying. Retreat, all ships retreat. But human AI was faster. The coordinates for their escape jumps were already predicted and blocked. Mines appeared in their escape vectors, deployed by ships moving faster than sensors could track. The few ships that tried to jump anyway hit the mines and exploded. Cease fire, Admiral ordered after 17 minutes. The space around the colony was full of debris and disabled ships. Of the 200 vessels, not one remained operational. Not one had escaped. And humanity had not lost a single ship. Open a channel to the surviving crews, said. They will need rescue before their life support fails. The channel opened. The commander's face appeared, his many eyes wide with shock and fear. You are monsters. You used forbidden technology. The Council will. The Council will do nothing, Admiral interrupted. We are not Council members. We told you we would defend ourselves. You chose not to believe us. Now you know. Rescue ships will arrive shortly to collect your crews. Tell the Council what happened here. Tell them that humanity does not bluff. He cut the transmission. Captain looked at him with a slight smile. That was almost too easy. They fought using council rules, said. Limited weapons, limited tactics, limited thinking. We fought to win. He paused, looking at the debris field. But this was just the first test. The real challenge begins now. He was right. News of the battle spread across the galaxy faster than light. Within hours, every species in the council knew what had happened. Earth, the newcomer species, had destroyed a subjugation fleet without taking casualties. They had used technologies the council banned. They had broken every rule of civilized warfare. In the Grand Assembly Hall, an emergency session was called. Chancellor stood before the gathered delegates, his crystalline form flickering with agitation. The humans have proven themselves dangerous. They possess forbidden technologies. They must be sanctioned. Sanctioned how? Asked Enforcer Prime Calzus. You saw what they did to a direct military confrontation would be costly. Then we blockade them, suggested another delegate. We surround their space. We prevent trade. We isolate them until they have no choice but to accept our terms. Merchant Lord, who had lost his fleet, spoke with barely contained rage. They must pay for what they did. They murdered my people. Your people attacked them, pointed out a small delegate from a species that valued logic. They defended themselves. Under council law, that is permitted even for non-integrated species. They used forbidden technology, shouted. Forbidden for council members, the logical delegate replied. They are not council members. They explicitly refuse to be. Therefore, council restrictions do not apply to them. The chamber erupted in argument. Some species demanded war. Others urged caution. A few, quietly, began to wonder if the humans might be right about the council's restrictions. Back on Earth, doctors stood in a laboratory watching the data from the battle. They are going to escalate, she said. I know, replied. A blockade, most likely. They think they can starve us into submission. Can they? Smiled, and this time it was a genuine smile. No, we prepared for that too. They do not know about our hidden colonies. They do not know how much we have stockpiled. They do not know that our ships can jump farther than theirs. He looked at the star map on the wall. They think in terms of limitations. We think in terms of possibilities. Doctor nodded. Phase 2 begins then. Phase 2, agreed. Let them blockade us. Let them think they have one. And then we show them just how far humanity can reach. In orbit around Earth, more ships were being built. Not dozens, but hundreds. Ships with AI cores, fusion reactors beyond council limits, and weapons that made the mass drivers look gentle. Humanity was preparing not just to defend, but to expand. The council wanted to contain them. Humanity was about to prove that humans could not be contained. The galaxy was changing, and the old order of the council was about to discover that 12,000 years of peace built on stagnation was not as strong as they believed. A new force had entered galactic civilization, and it refused to follow the ancient rules. The real conflict was just beginning. 6 months after the destruction of the fleet, the Council's blockade finally arrived. 3,000 ships from 15 different species formed a massive sphere around Earth's solar system. It was the largest military operation in Council history, and it had one goal: force humanity to surrender without firing a shot. Fleet Master commanded the blockade from his flagship. He was a veteran of 100 peacekeeping operations, and he knew that patience was the key to victory. Nothing goes in, nothing comes out. Eventually, they will run out of supplies and have to negotiate. On Mars, Governor watched the blockade ships take their positions. He stood in the dome of Olympus City, humanity's second-largest settlement, and looked up at the stars that were now full of enemy vessels. Around him, citizens gathered, worried expressions on their faces. "Governor," said one of the city council members, "can we break through? Can Earth's fleet fight 3,000 ships?" "We do not need to fight," said calmly. "Watch." In orbit above Earth, Captain prepared for a demonstration. Her ship, the Indomitable, was fully fueled and armed. She opened a channel that broadcast on every frequency the Council used. "Attention, blockade fleet. This is Captain of Earth Defense. You believe you have trapped us. You are mistaken." Fleet Master received the transmission and laughed. "Human arrogance. One ship against 3,000. This will be brief." But did not attack. Instead, she engaged her ship's jump drive. Council ships needed to be far from gravity wells to jump safely. They needed time to calculate coordinates. They needed specific conditions to be met. Human ships had no such limitations. The Indomitable disappeared from inside the solar system and reappeared outside the blockade sphere. Then it jumped back inside. Then outside again. Back and forth, demonstrating complete freedom of movement. "Impossible," whispered. "Jump drives cannot function so close to a star. The gravity distortion would tear the ship apart." His science officer was frantically checking the readings. "Their jump technology is completely different from ours. It does not follow any known principles. According to our physics, what they just did cannot happen." "Apparently," said slowly, "your physics is incomplete." Broadcast again. "Your blockade is meaningless. We can leave whenever we want. We can return whenever we want. You cannot stop us. You cannot trap us. If you want to sit here and waste resources, that is your choice. We have work to do." With that, her ship jumped away. Within an hour, 50 human ships did the same thing, jumping through the blockade as if it did not exist. They went to trade routes, to neutral stations, to places where Council species were starting to ask questions. On a space station in neutral territory, a journalist named was asking those questions. She was young, barely out of university, but she had a gift for finding stories that mattered. She interviewed a merchant who had survived the battle. "They did not torture us," the merchant said, his voice quiet. "After they disabled our ships, they sent rescue vessels. They gave us medical care. They even repaired some of our ships enough to limp home. Why would they do that?" "Maybe," said, "they are not the monsters the Council says they are." She published her interviews across neutral networks. More stories followed. Stories about human medical technology that could cure diseases in days that Council medicine took months to treat. Stories about human entertainment, music and art that was spreading through alien populations like fire. Stories about human AI that could solve problems in seconds. Commander, who ran Earth's asteroid mining operations, noticed something interesting. Ships were starting to break the blockade from the inside. Not human ships, Council ships, merchants who wanted to trade with Earth, scientists who wanted to study human technology, even some military officers who were curious about these strange newcomers. "The blockade is leaking," she reported to Admiral. 12 species have sent trade delegations through gaps in the formation. They are ignoring Council orders. Studied the reports. The Council underestimated human appeal. They thought isolation would weaken us. Instead, it is weakening them. He was right. In the Grand Assembly Hall, Chancellor faced growing opposition. 12 species had petitioned to end the blockade and establish normal relations with humanity. They argued that the blockade was expensive, ineffective, and was causing more problems than it solved. "The humans are spreading dangerous ideas," insisted. "They encourage technological development without limits. They promote individual choice over collective good. If we allow this, the entire Council structure will collapse." "Perhaps it should," said a delegate quietly. The chamber went silent. No one had ever said such a thing before. The delegate continued. "We have maintained peace for 12,000 years, yes, but at what cost? We use the same medicine as our ancestors. We fly the same ships. We live the same lives. The humans have advanced more in 1 century than we have in 10. Maybe we should learn from them instead of fighting them." More delegates began to agree. The Council was fracturing and everyone could feel it. Back on Earth, Doctor worked in her laboratory with a team of scientists from 3 different alien species. They had defected from the Council, seeking asylum with humanity. One of them, a being of pure energy named in a way humans could not pronounce, worked on a holographic display. "Your approach to fusion power is remarkable," the energy being said. "You push the limits far beyond what Council regulations allow. It is dangerous, but also magnificent." "We believe in calculated risks," Doctor explained. "Yes, it is dangerous, but the rewards are worth it. Unlimited clean energy, faster ships, better lives." "The Council banned this level of fusion research after an accident 3,000 years ago," another alien scientist said. "This one looked like a tree with eyes. One species destroyed there. The Council decided that such power was too risky." "One species made a mistake," Doctor replied. "That does not mean all species will. We take precautions. We test carefully. We accept that progress has risks, but we do not let fear stop us from trying." While scientists exchanged ideas, Admiral reviewed intelligence reports from Agent, Earth's best intelligence officer. Had been embedded in neutral space, gathering information about Council activities. His latest report was alarming. "Sir's message read, Fleet Master has discovered our expansion. He knows about the hidden colonies." Pulled up a star map. Humanity had not been idle during the blockade. While the Council's attention focused on Earth, human colony ships had jumped to 30 systems beyond Council space. New worlds, new resources, new populations. Earth was not trapped. Earth was growing. "How did he find out?" asked. "A Council scout ship stumbled on one of our mining operations," replied via secure channel. "They ran before we could stop them. Now knows that the blockade has failed completely. We were never contained." On his flagship, stared at the evidence in disbelief. 30 human colonies, hundreds of ships, thousands of automated mining platforms, all established while his blockade sat uselessly around Earth. "They played us," he said slowly. "They let us think we had them trapped while they expanded in every other direction. We were watching one star while they claimed 30 others." His tactical officer nodded. "Should we redirect the fleet, try to contain their new colonies?" "With what?" asked tiredly. "We have 3,000 ships. They have colonies in 30 systems. We cannot be everywhere. And even if we could, their ships can jump through our lines anyway." He paused. "No, the blockade has failed. We must report this to the Council." He sent his report knowing it would cause chaos. He was right. In the Grand Assembly Hall, panic spread. 20 species now openly called for ending the blockade and accepting humanity as a galactic power. 5 species demanded stronger action, including military strikes. The remaining species were undecided, waiting to see which way the political wind would blow. Chancellor felt control slipping away. "We cannot allow this. We must show strength. We must demonstrate that the Council remains supreme." Enforcer Prime Kalza stepped forward. "I can assemble a strike force. We can destroy one of their new colonies. Show them that expansion has consequences." Duet ordered, making a decision he would regret. "Choose a target, prepare the fleet." Word of the planned strike reached Earth through the 12 species who now supported humanity. Ambassador received the warning and immediately called an emergency meeting with President, Admiral, and Doctor, Earth's chief strategic planner. "They are going to attack Nu," said, referring to humanity's first deep space station. 300 warships are being assembled. "Can we defend it?" President asked. "We can," Admiral said, "but Doctor has a better idea." Doctor pulled up a galaxy-wide tactical display. Red dots represented Council, blue dots represented human fleet positions. "We have been preparing for this possibility. Every major human fleet is currently positioned within one jump of a Council, not to attack, just to be there." "You want to threaten their homes?" asked. "I want to prevent a war," replied. If they attack new, we jump to there, not to destroy them but to show that we can, to demonstrate that if they escalate, everyone loses. Thought about it, it is a risk. They might see it as an act of war. Everything is a risk, Admiral said. But the alternative is to let them destroy new and kill thousands of our people. I would rather show strength and prevent the battle than win the battle after people die. President made the decision. Do it. But remember, we are not there to attack. We are there to prevent attack. Admiral sent the orders. Across the galaxy, human ships jumped simultaneously to predetermined coordinates around every council. Not in attack formation, in demonstration formation, showing that they could be there, that they could strike if they wanted to, but choosing not to. The message was clear: attack us and you risk everything. Human ships appeared in the skies of 47 different worlds at exactly the same moment. Citizens of 100 species looked up and saw vessels hovering there, not attacking, not threatening, just present. A reminder that humanity could reach anywhere, anytime. On the crystalline world of Prime, Chancellor stood in his meditation chamber and watched 3 human dreadnoughts orbit his. They made no hostile moves. They simply existed there, impossible to miss, impossible to ignore. His communication console chimed. President's face appeared on the screen, transmitted across the galaxy in real time using technology the Council still believed was impossible. Chancellor said calmly, I understand your strike force is preparing to attack our station at Nu. I wanted to speak with you before that happens. You threaten our, said, his voice vibrating with anger and fear. You bring warships to our most sacred places. We brought them to make a point, replied. The point is this: we do not want war. We could attack right now. We could cause terrible damage before your defenses respond, but we will not because destruction is not our goal. He paused. However, if you attack Nu, if you kill our people, then you leave us no choice. If you start a war, we will finish it. You cannot threaten the Council, said, but his voice had lost its confidence. I am not threatening, I am stating facts. Leaned forward. Call off your strike force, meet with us, talk with us. There is a better way than this. And if I refuse? Then in 1 hour thousands will die on both sides, your people and mine. And for what? Pride, control, fear of change, shook his head. I do not believe you want that, Chancellor. I think you want what is best for your people. So do we. Let us find a solution that works for everyone. The transmission ended, stood in silence watching the human ships. Finally, he sent orders to Enforcer Prime Calzus. Stand down, cancel the strike. Chancellor, Calzus sounded surprised. Cancel it and prepare my ship. I am going to meet with the humans. 1 year after humanity first refused the Council protocols, delegates from 60 species gathered at Nu. The station was enormous now, 10 times larger than when it first opened. It had become a symbol of what cooperation without control could create. Ambassador, one of Earth's junior diplomats, greeted refugees as they arrived. Thousands of aliens had fled Council space, seeking the freedom that humanity offered. Among them was a named Aura, a former warrior who had fought in the battle against Earth. Why do you welcome us? Aura asked as they walked through the station's gardens. Real plants from a dozen worlds grew together here, tended by volunteers from many species. My people tried to conquer you. Now you give me a home. Because that battle is over, said simply. You were following orders. Now you are making your own choices. That is what matters to us. Aura looked at the mixed crowds walking past. Humans, aliens, children of both playing together. The Council said you were dangerous. They said your ideas would destroy civilization. Maybe they will destroy their civilization, admitted, but we think we can build something better. In a conference room nearby, Doctor presented her findings to a mixed audience of human and alien scientists. The data filled holographic displays, showing technological advancements the Council had suppressed for For 12,000 years, Doctor explained, the Council has limited research in these areas. They claimed it was for safety, but look at these projections. If research had continued, average across the galaxy could be 3 times longer. Energy production could be nearly unlimited. Faster-than-light travel could be 10 times faster. Disease could be eliminated. An alien scientist, one of the Council's former researchers, spoke up. We were told these technologies were impossible or too dangerous. We were told the risks outweighed the benefits. You were told that, Doctor said carefully, because advancement threatens control. If everyone has unlimited energy, you cannot control energy distribution. If everyone has extended, population dynamics change. If everyone has fast ships, you cannot control travel. The Council did not limit technology for your safety. They limited it for their control. The room erupted in angry conversation. Aliens argued with each other in a dozen languages. Some defended the Council. Others felt betrayed. All of them were angry. Doctor waited for the noise to die down. We are not saying the Council was entirely wrong. Uncontrolled technology is dangerous. But the answer is not to stop advancing. The answer is to advance carefully with proper precautions and testing. That is what we offer, a chance to move forward together without artificial limits. While scientists debated, President met privately with Chancellor. Doctor and Ambassador were also present. The meeting room was simple, without the grandeur of the Council chamber. Just 5 beings trying to prevent a war. Your people are stealing our citizens, said. 30,000 have defected to human space in the past 6 months. We are not stealing anyone, replied. We are offering an alternative. People choose to come to us because we give them freedom they do not have under Council rule. Freedom to do what? To develop weapons that could destroy worlds, to create AI that could turn against organic life, to pursue technologies without wisdom. Freedom to choose, said. Yes, some will make bad choices, some will fail, some will cause harm, but most will do well. Most will create, innovate, and improve their lives. You cannot protect people from all risk without also preventing all progress. Was silent for a long moment. What do you want? We want to show you something, Doctor said. He pulled up a holographic display showing a new document. We call it the Terran Accords. It is our alternative to your standard integration protocols. The document appeared in the air between them, text flowing in multiple languages. Read it carefully. The Terran Accords proposed voluntary membership with no forced participation, no surrender of sovereignty or resources, mutual defense treaties based on consent, free technological exchange for willing partners, protection of individual rights across all member species, encouragement of innovation with reasonable safety standards, peaceful resolution of disputes through negotiation. This is chaos, said after reading. You propose a galaxy with no central authority, no unified control, no guarantee of equality. We propose a galaxy where species are free to choose their own paths, corrected, where innovation is encouraged, not suppressed, where peace comes from mutual benefit, not forced compliance. Will it be messy sometimes? Yes. Will there be failures? Certainly. But there will also be progress, growth, discovery, things the Council has not seen in thousands of years. And if species go to war, then those of us who value peace will defend the victims, Admiral said, speaking for the first time. He had been standing quietly in the corner. We are not pacifists, Chancellor. We will fight when necessary. But we believe most species, given freedom and opportunity, will choose cooperation over conflict. Stood and walked to the window. Outside, he could see human ships and alien ships docking together. He saw mixed crews working side by side. He saw something the Council had not seen in spontaneous, voluntary cooperation between species. If I bring this to the Council, he said slowly, many will reject it. They will say it is too dangerous, too chaotic. Then they can maintain their own association, said. We are not trying to destroy the council. We are offering an alternative for those who want it. Species can choose council membership, Terran Alliance membership, or independence. The choice should be theirs. You would allow us to continue existing, even though we opposed you. Chancellor said gently, we opposed you joining us by force. We never opposed you existing. There is room in the galaxy for different approaches. Let each species decide for themselves. Turn back to face them. I need time to consider this, and I need proof that your way can work. Then stay here for a while, said, entering the room with Aura. See what we have built, talk to the refugees, ask them why they came. Judge for yourself if freedom is as dangerous as you fear. The Chancellor stayed for 3 weeks. He spoke with scientists conducting research the Council had banned. He watched as doctors used advanced techniques to cure diseases. He saw AI systems working alongside organic beings without conflict. He observed humans and aliens disagreeing, arguing, and then finding solutions together. At the end of 3 weeks, he called an emergency session of the Grand Assembly. What he said there would change everything. I have seen the future, told the assembled delegates, and it does not look like our past. The humans are not our enemies, they are our wake-up call. For 12,000 years we have chosen safety over progress. We have chosen control over freedom. We have chosen stagnation over growth. His crystalline form pulsed with light. I propose we accept the Terran Accords, not as replacement for the Council, but as an alternative to it. Let species choose their own path. The chamber exploded in argument, but this time, more voices supported change than opposed it. 2 years after humanity first met the Galactic Council, the galaxy looked completely different. The Grand Assembly Hall still existed, but it was no longer the only center of power. New alliances had formed, old certainties had crumbled, and everywhere species were making choices they had not been allowed to make in thousands of years. Admiral stood on the bridge of the Indomitable one last time. Today was his retirement ceremony. He had commanded Earth's first contact fleet through humanity's most dangerous period, and now it was time to rest. Admiral, Captain said, saluting, the fleet is assembled for your final inspection. Looked out at the ships gathered in formation. Human vessels mixed with alien designs, crews from 30 species working together. Ships that had been enemies 2 years ago now flew side by side as allies. I never fired a shot in anger, said quietly. That is what I am most proud of. You won every battle without fighting, replied. That is the greatest victory. At new, now 50 times its original size, representatives from 200 species gathered for a historic ceremony. The Terran Alliance was officially forming, and the signing of the final accords would mark a new era in galactic history. Ambassador, now Secretary General of the Terran Alliance, stood at the podium. Around him sat delegates who had chosen freedom over control, progress over stagnation. 35 species had officially joined the alliance. 8 remained independent. 4 species had reformed the old council into something new, calling it the Preservation Collective for those who preferred traditional ways. Today, began, we prove that different systems can coexist peacefully. The Preservation Collective maintains the old protocols for species who prefer stability and central authority. Independent worlds chart their own courses, and the Terran Alliance offers something new: freedom with responsibility, progress with wisdom, cooperation without coercion. He paused, looking at the diverse audience. We will make mistakes, we will have conflicts, we will face challenges we cannot imagine, but we will face them together as free beings making our own choices. In the audience, Chancellor sat with other Preservation Collective leaders. They had chosen to maintain the old ways, but they had also accepted that other species could choose differently. The monopoly was broken, but peace remained. I still believe we are safer, said to the delegate beside him. But I also believe they should be free to take risks if they choose. That is wisdom, Chancellor, the delegate replied. Control and freedom can coexist if both show respect. Doctor gave a presentation at the Alliance Science Summit, showing advancements made in just 2 years of unrestricted research, medical treatments that extended life, energy systems that could power entire worlds, agricultural techniques that could feed billions, transportation that made travel between stars take hours instead of weeks. We did not create miracles, she explained to an audience of scientists from 100 worlds. We simply removed artificial limits and let curiosity lead us. Every species here has contributed something valuable. They gave us insights into quantum mechanics. The crystalline species taught us about energy manipulation. The organic collectives showed us biological engineering. Together, we achieved what none of us could alone. An older alien scientist, one who had served the Council for centuries before defecting, raised a tentacle. But what about the dangers? What happens when someone misuses these technologies? Then we deal with it, Doctor said firmly. We have safety protocols. We have oversight committees with representatives from every member species. We have laws against an abuse. But we do not ban entire fields of study because they might be dangerous. We manage risk. We do not eliminate possibility. On Mars, Governor welcomed the first permanent alien residents to Olympus City. 300 families from 7 different species had chosen to make Mars their home. Children from different worlds played together in the dome gardens, learning each other's languages, sharing each other's games. Governor, a human parent approached him. My son is learning mathematics from his friend. Is that safe? I heard their number system is very different. It is different, agreed. That is exactly why it is valuable. Let them teach each other. Let them learn that different is not dangerous, just different. He watched the children play and thought about how much had changed. 2 years ago had attacked human colonies. Now children played with human children. Enemies had become neighbors. Fear had become friendship. Commander oversaw joint mining operations in the asteroid belt, where human and alien crews worked together. A merchant, one who had survived the first battle, approached her. Commander, he said with his translator, I wanted to thank you. For what? For not killing me when you could, for rescuing us after you defeated us, for showing mercy when we showed none. He paused. I was wrong about humans. My whole species was wrong. You were not wrong, corrected gently. You were misinformed. The council told you we were primitives. They told you we would be easy to conquer. They were wrong, not you. Still, they said, thank you for the second chance. President met with leaders from across the alliance to discuss future challenges. They sat in a circular chamber where no seat was higher than another, where every voice had equal weight. We have reports of pirates in the outer sectors, one delegate said. Species not affiliated with any group, taking advantage of the transition period. Then we send alliance security forces, another delegate suggested. Show that freedom does not mean lawlessness. Agreed, said, but we must be careful. We are not the council. We do not impose our will by force. We protect the innocent, but we also respect sovereignty. They debated for hours, finding solutions that balanced freedom with security, rights with responsibilities. It was messy. It was complicated. But it was also democratic in a way the galaxy had not seen in. Doctor unveiled plans for joint megastructures that would house millions from dozens of species, orbital cities, research stations, manufacturing centers, trading hubs, each designed with input from the species who would use them. We are not building a human empire, he told investors from 30 worlds. We are building a shared future. Every species contributes, every species benefits, no one dominates, no one is left behind. Ambassador had become the Alliance's chief advocate for refugees and displaced persons. Thousands still fled from the Preservation Collective, seeking opportunities the old council restricted. She worked to find them homes, jobs, and new lives. "Why do you help us?" a refugee asked her. "We are not human, we are not your responsibility." "You are sentient beings seeking freedom," replied. "That makes you everyone's responsibility, or rather everyone's privilege to help." Captain began training alien officers in human tactical systems. Former enemies learning to work together, sharing knowledge that had once been jealously guarded secrets. "The secret to human tactics," she told a class of mixed species, "is simple. We assume nothing is impossible. If something seems impossible, we treat it as merely difficult. If something seems difficult, we find a clever solution. Never let assumptions limit your thinking." A young officer raised a claw. "But Captain, some things are impossible. Physics has laws." "Physics has laws we understand," corrected. 2 years ago, we thought instant communication across the galaxy was impossible. Now we do it every day. We thought jumping from inside a gravity well was impossible. Now it is routine. The word impossible just means we have not figured it out yet. Journalist won the first Galactic Prize for Truth, an award created to honor honest reporting. She had documented the entire transition, interviewing humans and aliens, showing both successes and failures, letting people see reality without propaganda. "Tell the truth," she said in her acceptance speech. "Not your truth or my truth, but the truth. Show the good and the bad. Let people think for themselves. That is how freedom works." 5 years after first contact, former merchant lord sat in a bar on New with Captain. He was now a legitimate trader, no longer involved in conquest or subjugation. Business was better than ever. "I have a question," said, drinking something that humans called whiskey. "When you destroyed my fleet, when you could have conquered us all, why did you not? Humans could have ruled the galaxy." Looked at her own drink, thinking, because ruling was never the goal. The council wanted to rule. They wanted control. We just wanted freedom. Conquering you would have made us exactly what we refused to become. But you were stronger. You had superior technology. You could have taken anything. "Strength is not permission," said. "We were strong, yes, but strength without morality is just bullying. We wanted partners, not subjects. We wanted cooperation, not domination." Shook his head in wonder. "Your species is strange." Maybe smiled, "But it works." Outside the bar, New thrived. Humans and aliens walked together through markets selling goods from 100 worlds. Music from 20 species mixed in the air. Children of different species attended schools together. Scientists from everywhere collaborated on projects that would benefit everyone. It was chaotic, it was messy. It was loud and complicated and sometimes difficult. But it was also alive in a way the old council had never been. It was growing, changing, evolving. Ambassador stood on an observation deck, looking out at the busy station. President joined him. "Do you ever regret saying no to the council?" asked. "Thought about it. We could have had peace, safety, stability. All we had to do was give up our freedom to choose." "That is a high price." "Too high," agreed. He watched a human child teaching a crystalline child how to throw a ball. The crystalline child could not catch it with hands, so they figured out how to use energy fields instead. Problem solving, cooperation, innovation. We chose our own path, and look what we built. Across the galaxy, change continued. The Preservation Collective maintained the old ways, and that was fine. Independent worlds prospered in their own fashion, and that was also fine. The Terran Alliance grew and experimented and sometimes failed and tried again, and that was perhaps finest of all. Humanity had entered the galactic stage and refused to follow the ancient rules. They had faced military action, blockades, and threats. They had been called dangerous, reckless, and foolish. And through it all, they had insisted on one simple principle: free beings should be free to choose. The galaxy would never be the same. And maybe, just maybe, that was exactly what the galaxy needed. On Earth, in a quiet moment, Doctor sat with her research team and looked at their list of next projects. There was so much to discover, so much to learn, so many problems to solve and dreams to chase. "What should we work on next?" a young researcher asked. Doctor smiled. "Everything. We work on everything. That is the beautiful thing about freedom. We do not have to choose just one path. We can explore them all." And in the vastness of space, human ships continued to jump between stars, carrying not conquest but curiosity, not dominion but dreams. They had proven that strength and morality could coexist, that power and restraint were not opposites, that the strongest choice was sometimes choosing not to use force at all. The Council had wanted humanity to submit. Instead, humanity showed them an alternative, and the galaxy, slowly but surely, was embracing it. The age of stagnation was over. The age of exploration had begun. And somewhere, in a small bar on a station orbiting an unremarkable star, a human and an alien shared a drink and talked about the future. It was a good future, full of possibility, full of risk, full of freedom. It was the future humanity had chosen when they said those two simple words: "No, thank you." And that had made all the difference.